While several young professionals making their assessment of the government's first year in office, while they assert that the administration has made a number of decisions that have positively impacted residents, there remains a number of critical issues that they say they must address. Jose Etienne has more on this.
With government preparing to take on year 2 of its term in office, there are several concerns which Managing Director of Spectrum Politics Group argues cannot afford to be kicked to the curb moving forward.
The ones who were able to follow this last election season, they're not giving this government a honeymoon period. They want to see real action. So for me, when I see topics like marital rape come back up, when I see the marijuana issue come back up, I'm hearing a lot of the government deferring, saying, well, it's up to the people. We just heard that the other day with the Republic conversation. I'll leave it up to the people to decide. But I think young people want to see leadership.
Brannon says that as it relates to several legislative matters, officials need to make their position clear.
If the consultation has already taken place before, which in many cases it has, and the action is clear. With marital rape, we've signed on to numerous conventions over the years that say which direction we should go. It's on our leaders to follow that direction and that course. Or, if they're not going to, say that too.
However, co-founder of Spectrum Politics, Denzel Bazard, contends that in doing so, government must reconsider its ties to the church when it comes to addressing legislative matters if officials are looking to be progressive.
The very first thing we need to do is stop addressing the church with these social issues. That's supposed to be a matter of our politicians. So separate the church and state. Let's start there. If we have church and state combining, which we've done for a very long time with the Bahamian Christian Council, we're going to remain stagnant.
His comments come on the heels of church leaders vehemently opposing the criminalization of marital rape as government seeks consultation on the sexual offense legislation. Church leaders have also expressed concerns about government moving forward with other pieces of legislation, such as the marijuana and citizenship bills that many argue are long overdue. It is against this backdrop that Bazard is hoping that church and state would become separate and that in year 2, government would begin to deal with matters such as the marijuana bill that, in his view, affects many young individuals.
Criminalizing marijuana is just creating more criminals. If you can do it if you can turn that into a business, we can do that legally with these people. And we could stop having all these people being arrested for low-level crimes like that. Because the only thing you're doing is creating more criminals with low-level criminal offenses like that.
But despite those criticisms, Tate Adderley asserts that government has kept its promise in reigniting the country's economy in year 1.
They've been really instrumental in trying to regrow the economy. And I think our outlook towards economic growth for this year is similarly supposed to be optimistic. And so handling that and trying to relax COVID rules in tandem with focusing on the economy, I think they've done very well on trying to permit growth in the country.
Bazard also applauding government's decision to act swiftly on climate change after being elected.
I believe Brave Davis has done a very good job in terms of addressing climate change. We've had a few pundits criticizing him traveling a lot, but him traveling and speaking about climate change, especially in this country, knowing that climate change is going to greatly affect us in the next 50, 60 years, I think is very important.
But on the flip side, there are issues which they say authorities must look at. For example, brain drain.
I think that there are many areas in terms that the government can focus on in trying to fight the brain drain for younger Bahamians. The economy, job prospects, salaries and benefits, as well as, places for living and housing for persons to come back.
And as it relates to tourism still being the country's #1 industry.
We can't have that as our #1 industry in long term. That's not sustainable, not for our young Bahamians.
Jose Etienne, Eyewitness News.